This belief is the pivot of Toda culture, an ancient tribal community of the upper Nīlgiri plateau. The Todas have their own rules to understand the ultimate nature and purpose of life. This single belief ensures that each sacred ritual, be it pregnancy or paternity, uses specific flowers or leaf drawn from more than 100 specific plant species. The god will not settle for substitutes, and the Todas have compiled. This is how they have inadvertently helped to preserve their environment. However, these floral species are on the edge of extinction, just like their rituals and the Todas themselves. Toda population is down to 1400, scattered in about 50 hamlets. Their way of life is in danger of being corrupted by all trappings of civilization. More than 180 years ago, ever since the Nīlgiri Hills were open to civilization, the Todas have fascinated anthropologists with their colorfully embroidered pottery cloths, curious barrel-vaulted temples and houses, unique dairy temple rituals, and ferocious-looking buffaloes with upward curving horns. But thankfully, the British, perhaps understanding the Todas' close relationship with nature, did not relocate them. Other outsiders were not quite sensitive. Today, the Nīlgiri Hills are laid out with townships of concrete, tea gardens, and hydel reservoirs. Toda way of life. The Toda culture revolves around their cattle, herds, and the dairy temple. Each of the 6 grades of temple dairies has its cattle herd of sacred buffaloes and an exclusive array of varied rituals. Only a Toda who undergoes elaborate ordination ceremonies can qualify as a priest and then milk the herd of sacred buffaloes belonging to that temple grade to ritually process it into butter, buttermilk, curd, and ghee. Each tiny hamlet with a temple mandates the use of several streams: a domestic stream, an ordination stream, where priests undergo ordination ceremonies, and a dairy temple stream, where the priest collects water for cooking the sacred food. The Todas also believe that several landmarks like peaks, slopes, shola thickets, trees, plants, rocks, rivers, pools, swamps, paths, streams, and caves are sacred. All resources to be preserved were marked sacred. Another way culture led to better management of nature is the Todas' belief mandating the use of specified forest products to construct their barrel, vaulted, and conical temples. They use natural materials like tree poles, specified wooden planks, rattan cane, teff or bamboo reeds, a swamp grass called awful, and specified wood for the door, and carved Venkeshwale, a totem atop the thatch. If any of these species get depleted, Toda culture would be at a crossroads, as they do not use substitutes. More frightening, if any species become locally extinct, their culture could collapse. All predicament today, Toda ecology faces an invasion. Exotic tree plantations have come up in abandoned dairy sites. Once the most sacred grade of temple dairies, the sacred hills are extensively quarried for stone. Sacred migratory routes are blocked by reservoirs and tea or tree plantations. Sacred objects and bells from temple have started to disappear. Toda houses and temples have virtually disappeared, just like the basic raw materials used to build traditional Toda structures. Thin bamboo reeds called thef by the Todas are bent together in bunches of 5 sticks, while still green, to give their houses the typical barrel vaulted shape. These are fastened with peeled rattan cane. We found that both these species are difficult to gather today. This bamboo reed, provisionally identified as Pseudodixenanthera monadelpha and seen in many shola pockets of the Nilgiris, is now restricted to some dense jungle on the southwest slopes. Todas have to go long distance for this bamboo reed. Similarly, rattan cane, plentiful on the Nilgiri slopes, and some shola have virtually disappeared. Today, these areas are decimated as the cane is extracted for commercial use. Todas go into the dense rain forest on the slopes beyond the western catchment and Mukurti areas to gather rattan cane. Even awful grass used to thatch Toda houses and temple and common in swamps in the main Toda heartland of the Wenlock Downs has nearly disappeared. It can only be found in reasonable quality around some large swamps in the western plateau of Korakunta. Even here, neither species predominates. What are the reasons for the disappearance of this awful grass? A recent study we initiated indicates that ever since the Todas were not allowed to set fire to these swamps, one way of Toda management, during the dry winter months, other grass species started to dominate mass planting of exotic trees like eucalyptus on adjacent hillsides also led to its disappearance. No wonder then that their temples disappeared and traditional houses gave way to cement ones. These concrete houses are cold, damp, and often leaking. Traditional houses, in comparison, are incredibly warm even during the most frosty winter nights. Moreover, despite having no foundation, they can withstand the most fierce cyclonic storm as they are designed to act as natural windbreakers. Conical temples too are marvel of tribal architecture, and even in areas where annual precipitation crosses 3000 mm, they can last for up to 80 years with only periodic rethatching.